matchup. Sage Rosario, Stacia Suttles. It's going down.
You can't beat a summer night on the Boston Harbor. Massachusetts, the next stop for Team Boxing League's Week 12 coverage, as we have a pair of East Division teams squaring off for the second time in a little less than a month's time. The Boston Butchers welcoming in the Philadelphia Smoke. We welcome you into our TBL studios. Justin Shackle, the Hall of Famer Al Bernstein with you. So the second time in 3 weeks that Philadelphia and Boston are meeting up. We know Philadelphia looks to remain undefeated. They're trying to keep rolling, and they can deal Boston a pretty big setback with another win tonight when we take a look at the playoff proceedings.
Yeah, they really can, Justin. And the way they will do it is by repeating victories that they had a few weeks ago. Tonight is the night of the rematch. There are 10 instances where fighters fought each other on May 30th. And one of the most important rematches, and one of the ones that's getting a lot of attention, featuring Stacia Suttles against Sage Rosario. They met on May 30th after Rosario had called Suttles out. In their first match, as expected, they both did some great offensive work, with Rosario charging in and Suttles, as she does, countering very, very effectively. It was close, and Suttles got the nod in that one. Now, in fight two, the Philly veteran made adjustments. She added more left hooks to her arsenal in her game plan and muted some of Rosario's offense. And by the end, Suttles, by her body language, seemed to be telling the youngster, hey, be careful what you wish for the next time. And Suttles did, in fact, get the win there, and that gave her the double win for the night. Will Youth be served tonight instead, or will Suttles win again? We'll find out.
Yeah, we're going to have to wait until round 12 in the middle rounds. They're only in action for one round tonight, so definitely a round to keep an eye on. Round to watch, though, in the launch rounds, rounds 1 through 8, near the top. Round 2, an intriguing matchup between a pair of lightweights as Rasheen Brown is up against TBL rookie Alexi De La Cruz.
Yeah, it's fascinating because Brown is in a kind of a historic situation. He is going for his 40th win in Team Boxing League, and no one has achieved that yet. So he could certainly get there tonight. And the man he's facing, Alexi De La Cruz, so different because this is his debut season in the TBL. But both of them are having fantastic years, and this should be a good match.
Yeah, De La Cruz coming in at 8-1, Brown 9-1, but a career record of 39-4 in Team Boxing League. Let's go out to Roadrunner in Boston with the third member of our broadcast crew and our favorite New Englander. It's Amelia Moore. Amelia, what round are you keeping an eye on here tonight?
You know, Justin, some rivalries never end, and that's why I've got a keen eye on round 16. Philly's Conja Nathan and Boston's Michael Coffey have been sharing the ring since their Golden Glove amateur years. And right now their TBL series is currently tied at 1 win apiece, and both of those fights ended in split decision. So Michael this year came back into TBL in May, and what I think personally in some of the best shape that I've seen him in years. And Conja Nathan steps in again tonight, going to prove once again why he's one of the heaviest hitting heavyweights in TBL.
And Michael Coffey in for 2 rounds tonight, but only 1 round with his old foe in Conja Nathan. That's coming up in round 16. When we come back, we'll have the launch rounds. We'll meet the fighters, and we will get underway as these two East Division teams battle it off in Boston. Philadelphia and Boston coming up next. Team Boxing League is brought to you by Balance of Nature. In boxing, consistency beats intensity. Balance of Nature supplements help you stay consistent with ingredients of whole foods you can easily slot into your daily routine. Go to balanceofnature.com, use code TEAM, and start today. The Philadelphia Smoke coming in at 6-0. Boston Butchers at 2-3. As you take a look at the TBL Bellas on hand at Roadrunner in Boston, Massachusetts. Noel and Adriana, and we get ready to go with the man inside the ring. It is Ray Flores.
Welcome to the next chapter of high-impact, non-stop action. This is Team Boxing League, where every round matters and every fighter leaves it all inside the ring. Team Boxing League would like to thank and welcome New England Sports Network and Sportsnet Pittsburgh to the TBL family, marking yet another major milestone in the league's continued expansion and distribution. Also, you can check out every moment of TBL season live on MSG Network along with Envoy TV, Spanish language coverage available on Estrella TV. We would also like to thank the Massachusetts State Athletic Commission Executive Director Brian Freitas for hosting and overlooking tonight's event. The referees in charge of the action all evening long are Leo Gerstel and John Morrell. Also, a big thank you to our sponsors, Climax Moonshine Fire number 32, Balance of Nature, Serenity Springs Recovery Center, and HotelPlanner.com. And now, ladies and gentlemen, as we get ready for this matchup between the Philly Smoke and Boston Butchers, please welcome the visiting undefeated Philly Smoke.
Philadelphia Smoke are all alone at the top of the TBL standings. A 6-0 record, the only undefeated team. And they are looking to pick up another win this season over Boston. Victorious over the Butchers on May the 30th, like we mentioned, Al, 19-12.
Yeah, they can't afford to stub their toe tonight. Obviously, you know, you talk about trap games and trap contests. This could be one of them because there's a strong rivalry between these two.
And you're going to meet the fighters in just a few moments, but Philadelphia unbeaten and carries one of the most consistent rosters in the league.
The head coach of the Philly Smoke is renowned trainer Bob Kane. Here is the starting lineup for the visitors. Silver medalist at the national championships, bantamweight Lisandra Contreras. Featherweight Rasheen Sugar Sheen Brown. Multi-time national champion in 2020, U.S. Olympian featherweight Shaquilia Ellis. Welterweight Hendry Cedeno. Super welterweight Jason Moreno. Middleweight Daquan Garrett. Super middleweight Zaire Jefferson. Heavyweight Eric Ross. Featherweight Maria Antunes. Lightweight Francisco Cisco Kid Rodriguez. Multi-time national champion, Team USA member, and Olympic trialist, super lightweight Stasia, the natural Suttles. Welterweight Isaiah Killadoo Johnson. Former USBA, NABO, and NABF champion, light heavyweight Jesse Hardwork Hart. Former two-time champion of the world, cruiserweight Steve USS Cunningham Sr. And New York Golden Gloves champion, heavyweight Concha Don't Blink Nathan. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the undefeated Philly Smoke. And now, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your hometown Boston Butchers.
I leave you unfair where you stand, I'm the man. You
So the Butchers enter the arena at 2-3, right on the cusp of the final seed in the postseason if the TBL playoffs did start today. So they need a win to keep up with the pack and really try to ensure themselves one of the lower seeds. But right now, right on the edge of the bubble.
Yeah, and it's simple, their mission. They need some of the people that lost the last time out against Philly to win tonight, and that will cut into that margin and maybe even have some power surge.
The Boston Butchers are led by Jimmy Birchfield and their head coach, esteemed trainer Alex Rivera. Here is the starting lineup for the hometown Boston Butchers. Unprecedented 10-time New York Golden Glove champion, multi-time national champion in 2020, Puerto Rican Olympian, Bantamweight Christina Hell's Kitchen Kid Cruz. 2020 Olympian representing the Dominican Republic, lightweight Alexia de la Cruz. Featherweight Brandy Robinson. Welterweight Chavon Bess. Current WBC U.S. Silver Champion. Super welterweight Jaye Golden Child Brown. Current WBC Silver Champion. Ranked number 2 in the world by the WBO and 15 by the WBC. He's a 2-time TBL All-Star and most exciting fighter, middleweight Rashidi Speedy Ellis. Super middleweight Ronald Ellis. Heavyweight Alvin Varmal Jr. Featherweight Marari Vivar. Lightweight Hebrew Francois. 2-time National Golden Glove champion Sage Rosario. Welterweight Thomas Blofeld. Light heavyweight Steven Sumter. Cruiserweight Miguel Teo. And heavyweight Michael Kofi. Ladies and gentlemen, that is your hometown Boston Butchers. And now hear from Roadrunner and Boston. We ask that you all please rise if you're able to as we honor America with the singing of our national anthem, being performed tonight by Boston's very own Haley Boletto.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. And the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Haley Boletto with the singing of our national anthem.
just about ready
Ladies
to
and
go.
gentlemen, it is now time to begin the launch rounds. Round 1 at bantamweight, Philly, Lissandra Contreras. Boston, Christina Cruz.
So we started off round 1 at 118 pounds. The first of 2 rounds tonight between the young pro Lissandra Contreras and Christina Cruz back in Team Boxing League. Good time as ever to take out your earrings, that's for sure.
Yeah, right. Yeah, 2 different generations of women's boxing. 21-year-old Contreras, who had a terrific amateur background and now starting out as a pro, undefeated. And then Christina Cruz, who was also a great amateur, but now at age 43, she's only about 2 or 3 years removed from fighting Gabrielle Fundora for a world championship in the pro ranks. So 2 women that are from different generations, but competing here tonight.
Moments ago, the women giving one another the head nod, acknowledgement. And we get ready to go for the second time in 3 weeks, Philadelphia and Boston. Along with Al Bernstein and Amelia Moore, I'm Justin Shackle. We thank you for joining us here at Roadrunner in Boston. We welcome Nesson into the TBL fold along with Sportsnet Pittsburgh as Week 12 continues. And Lissandra Contreras has built up a 5-1 record so far for the Philadelphia Smoke. We talked about a consistent roster. She's built consistency at 118 pounds. Kind of a table setter, if you will, for this Smoke team, Amelia. What do you like most about what we've seen from Lissandra Contreras thus far?
You know, she's had really explosive performances. She's been very, very dominant. And I specifically like this because she knows how skilled Tina is, and so there's a lot of respect here. A lot of times we're like, yeah, we want to see an explosive start to that first round. The women usually do kick it off. I'm really enjoying the fact that this is a calculated match. These are 2 very good athletes.
The right hand was able to get in for Contreras a moment ago. And the Philly women come in here tonight with a combined record of 26-7.
Big right hand moments ago from Contreras. Yeah. Thought that maybe she hurt Cruz, who's on the back pedal.
I think she did.
And she's trying to swarm the 10-time New York Golden Glove champion right now. Lissandra Contreras trying to apply the pressure and get Philadelphia off to a big start here in Boston.
Yeah, that first right hand apparently a table setter for the second one, which she got in, and that was really the one that kind of got Christina Cruz's attention.
Really good pressure from Contreras. Dodges an overhand right from Cruz. What you'd like to see is nothing comes singularly from Contreras. She continues to double up on punches, connect on combinations. And now Cruz trying to battle back.
The Contreras right hand is just like radar. She is getting that punch in every time. And Cruz herself has tried to use that punch, but it hasn't been as effective.
They're mashing away with that left hook, throwing it 3 consecutive times. And a nice 3-punch combo on Cruz.
From the southpaw stance as well.
Oh, beautiful left counter from Contreras. Timed it up well. And the 21-year-old having her way right now with Cruz. Solid start for Philadelphia. But this will go to the judges' scorecard.
Superb performance by Contreras. That 5-1 record bespeaks the fact that she's doing well. And here she is as a righty, getting that right hand in, and she landed several terrific right hands, and then switched to lefty, and the left hand gets there, including, so in both stances she landed her power hand extremely well against Cruz and looks to have controlled that round.
The winner of round 1 by way of unanimous decision. from the Philly Smoke, Lissandra Contreras. Round 2 at lightweight. For Philly, Rasheed Brown. Boston, Alexi De La Cruz.
So Philly up 1-0, and we go to 135 pounds. And Al, right here, Rasheed Brown, who's in his 3rd TBL season, all he does is rack up wins quietly. 39-4 in his TBL career, and he could be the first fighter to 40 wins in league history.
Really extraordinary. I mean, he's just so consistent. You know, he's such a good defensive fighter. The only loss this season was by split decision to Alex Castellanos, so that could have almost gone his way as well. And the 8-1 record for De La Cruz demonstrates in his debut season that he has a talent here in TBL.
Yeah, 30-year-old southpaw out of the Dominican Republic, off to a nice start in Team Boxing League. See Rasheed Brown +9 in net points. A 9-1 fighter this year against an 8-1 fighter. Brown in the purple, De La Cruz in the blue trunks.
And I know we're very early in this competition, but this is one of those fights that I think Boston's probably pointing to, Alex Rivera and his group, saying if we could break through here and create an upset in this situation, it would really help us.
Brown slipping out of the way of multiple punches, and they get tied up in the middle of the ring. Each swinging away. Long reach for the Dominican De La Cruz. And that right-handed jab sneaks in from Rasheed Brown. Rasheed Brown's lone loss this season and a headbutt between those two. And Brown looked like he was in pain here. They came to Alexander Castellano. He was able to avenge that loss, though.
Yeah, Castellano was a solid fighter. That Brown with a really good left hand a moment ago that got through the guard of De La Cruz. This is going to be a bout that's going to be judged on the fringes. You know, nobody's going to land like 10 or 15 brilliant, eye-catching punches. Judges are going to have to be paying attention to what does land and what gets in between these two men.
It may be that one connect that stands out that could determine the winner of this round.
Yeah, that left hand made me think of that from Brown.
Well, another came in moments ago from Brown. And if we don't see that big impact, devastating punch, some of the connections from Brown may be able to withstand anything De La Cruz has been thrown. Hasn't been as accurate as Rasheed Brown.
No, now De La Cruz did get a couple of left hands in a moment ago. They weren't as accurate as Brown's were, but they did kind of get through. And there he is again. But Brown's doing a pretty good job of rolling away from those punches.
Not fully absorbing any of those throws, specifically with that left hand from Alexi De La Cruz.
And, of course, Brown is such a clever defensive fighter. That's part of the reason he's got those 39 wins.
We'll see if this is number 40 for Sugar Sheen, Rasheed Brown. And both of these fighters impressing in 2026. This is the lone round of action for each fighter tonight.
Well, they clashed heads. This is where after a nice left-handed landed by Brown, here's where the heads came together. It was not intentional. They were kind of grabbing each other. And then later on in the round, there's De La Cruz attacking, and Brown had landed some pretty good left hands at that point.
From the Boston Butchers, Alexi De La Cruz.
History will have to wait.
Alexi De La Cruz picks off Rasheed Brown, improves to 9-1 in his rookie season.
Philly, Shaquilla Ellis. Boston, Brandy Robinson.
That was an important win for Boston, I think, even early in this competition. Don't you think, Justin?
I think
because
you're right.
It set the table a little bit for them to know they might compete in some of these important fights.
The 2 rounds, 2 split decisions, and here's the undefeated Shaquilla Ellis, 26-0 in her Team Boxing League career. She's 10-0 this season. And here, Brandy Robinson for Boston. She lost to Shaquilla back on May the 30th. 2-2 record so far in 2026. So one of many rematches from that May 30th contest.
Yeah, it was a tough night for Brandy Robinson. She had to face both Shaquilla Ellis and Lysandra Contreras, and didn't get the win in either of those. That list we saw, the point getters in this, there's some really good women in this division.
You know, in this team structured event, we talked about how big of a round the second was for Boston to win. You know, match placement, and yeah, you're going by weight class, but it is pretty important for Philadelphia to place a fighter like Shaquilla Ellis immediately after a swing round like that.
Yeah, good, very good point, Justin, because it gives you what you feel is a good chance at a victory. Now, Brandy Robinson, the Chicagoan, is a really skilled fighter. She just walked into a beautiful left hook a moment ago, but she is the kind of fighter that might be able to, even though it's very difficult against Ellis, who never loses, to spring an upset.
Robinson unable to get the jab through the guard of Shaquilla Ellis.
Robinson always uses a lot of movement, lateral movement, to try and make it difficult for her opponent to land. Ellis is trying to cut the ring off on her. Ellis also, from time to time, will be that boxer. If somebody's aggressive, she'll be the one boxing, but she's capable of also attacking.
Good slip out of the way from that jab from Robinson. A minute to go in the 3rd round between Ellis and Robinson. Here, Alex Rivera pleading to Brandy Robinson. You have to be first. You have to try and get ahead against a fighter like Shaquilla Ellis. She is trying. It's a really tough code to crack.
Especially when you're facing a fighter who's undefeated in her TBL career. So she's used to getting the wins.
Good defense moments ago from Shaquilla Ellis, dodging a pair of punches at close range.
You know, Ellis hasn't landed that much in this fight, but mostly what has been landed by her, and she's shown an especially good jab, I think, at various times. And of course, 2020 Olympian, she has so much experience and is just a superb fighter.
Good 2-punch combo from Ellis, who's just looked more in control, more comfortable in this round than Brandy Robinson. But we'll see what the judges score.
Well, Ellis coming forward for most of that round. Robinson trying to use this whole ring, but there was a nice short right hand by Ellis that got in, and Robinson did move well, but she just couldn't land off that back foot. And as you pointed out, her coach was telling her, try and get on the front foot some of the time to start off the action.
TBO fans, the winner of round 3 by way of unanimous decision. From Philly, Shaquilla Ellis. Round 4 at welterweight, Philly, Hendry Cedinho. Boston, Giovanna Bess.
So Ellis improves to 27-0 as Philly takes a 2-1 lead. Here's Bess and Cedeno, 2 welterweights. Cedeno beat Bess on May the 30th. As we get set for round number 4. Philadelphia looking to remain the only undefeated team in Team Boxing League.
And for Gavon Bess, you know, he's 0-6 in TBL. This is his season debut, and he would very much like to see if he could get off that snide and get his first win.
Rasheed Brown and Alexi De La Cruz were in an entertaining battle in round number 2, but De La Cruz came away victorious. Amelia's standing by with Sugar Sheen Brown right now.
Sugar Sheen, man, you are knocking at the doorsteps of having a career 40 wins in TBL. I mean, you are right there. And honestly, I'm sitting there rooting for you, hoping that you were going to break through tonight.
Yeah, I actually just found that out right in the back room before we came out. And it didn't even put too much pressure on me because I was going to do what I'm going to do regardless, which I felt like I pulled it off, but the judges seen otherwise. I got to go back and watch the tape to see what I really feel about it.
And, you know, I have to, again, give you your flowers because the defensive skills that you have, the footwork, the head movement, you're slippery, you're slick. Man, you know what you're doing in there, and it's such a joy to watch you execute the way you do. I mean, still, I'll say this every single time. One of my favorite fighters ever.
I appreciate that. I mean, I go in there and just have fun. I do my thing. I don't put too much on it. I don't take it too serious, try so hard. That's what I feel like a lot of my opponents do. They see my background and they just try super hard and they make it easy for me. Everything just comes easy to me.
We are all looking forward to seeing you break through that 40-0, being the first to TBL career do it. And next time, man.
Yeah, I'm going to see y'all next time. I'm keep putting on good shows for y'all. And go back and watch my fight because I feel like I got that 40th one tonight.
Thank you, Steve. Justin, back to you.
Well, thanks, Amelia. So, taking a look at the schedule, Philadelphia has one more regular season contest. Rasheen's going to have to wait till July 13th as Philadelphia goes to San Antonio. So, a full month now where Rasheed Brown's going to have to sit on a defeat. That doesn't happen too often for him.
No, that's for sure. And he's going to be looking at that tape over and over again, see how he feels like he might have gotten that win. It was extremely close.
Under a minute to go here between Cedeno and Bess at 147 pounds.
You know, Cedeno is a good attacker, and he is attacking. Bess has landed a couple of good counter right hands, even though Cedeno has kind of pressured him.
Got a couple of left hands did Cedeno to the body, and here connecting more as the round winds down.
And Cedeno is a very good pressure fighter. And when he fought Yoelis Molina, one of the best fighters in this division, he lost 2 split decisions to him. Those are the only 2 losses he's had this season with a couple of wins.
Three-punch combo landed by Bess near the closing bell. And we'll see how the judges score this one.
You know, whether he wins or loses, I honestly thought that was one of the best performances Bess has given in TBL. Facing a very tough guy in Cedeno. Cedeno, lots of pressure coming in, those overhand rights, the hooks. And Bess dealt with it not badly. And here was where he got on his front foot, Bess, and landed a nice combination. So, though he has not gotten a win yet, this 22-year-old Bess showed us what he's capable of.
I'm in agreement with you. I think that was probably the best round in TBL for Gavon Bess. Will it lead to a win? We shall see.
TBL fans, the winner of round 4 by way of split decision. From the Boston Butchers, Gavon Bess.
Well, it does lead to Bess's first TBL win, now 1-6, and we are tied at 2 through the first 4 rounds. Back with much more in Boston. Philly and Boston all tied up as the Boston Butchers try to get to 3-3 on the season with a win tonight. Let's get started with round number 5 and go back to Ray Flores.
Round 5 at super welterweight. Philly, Jason Moreno. Boston, J.A. Brown.
There's J.A. Brown, 26 years of age, in his 3rd TBL season. He's 6-4 this year, and his last 2 fights were against Jason Moreno. He lost both. 0-3 lifetime against Moreno.
Which is intriguing when you look at his overall body of work, 23-9 in the TBL. So he's not used to being 0-3 against anybody.
Moreno now 13-6 in his TBL career, hooking on with Philadelphia. Just his 4th round this season. 24 years of age. Competed with Los Angeles last year, but he was born in Newark, New Jersey. He lives in Philadelphia, so this obviously feels like home for Jason Moreno.
And J.A. Brown, you know, they showed his 6-4 record. In season 3, last season, he was 14-2. So this is actually almost a slightly down season for him in a way, even though he's still doing well.
TBL's most improved fighter in 2025. Meets Moreno with that left hook. Right hand comes back from Jason Moreno. And he is applying pressure early on against J.A. Brown.
Yeah, he's a very good body puncher. You see a little of that from Moreno, and got a good left hook and fast hands as well. He can put his punches together extremely well. And that's why he's 5-0-1 and outside of TBL as a professional.
Moreno trying to get a punch in out of the clinch.
Brown sneaking in a right hand a moment ago. J.A. Brown's not a monstrous puncher. He's a very much a boxer puncher, but and he's kind of on his front foot trying to get after Moreno because he wants to see if he can do some offensive work at this point in the round.
A couple of connections with that left hand from Brown moments ago. He's had a banner couple of weeks in Boston, fighting here in a home match for the Boston Butchers tonight. Last weekend, he was fighting at Fenway Park in a traditional boxing match.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Pretty unique venue for the Sweet Science. He was actually handed a split draw against Anthony Vieira, so now 19-2-1 in his traditional boxing career. He'll always remember his trip to Fenway Park.
That's for sure. Yeah, he will.
The speed that we were talking about with Jason Moreno, it's slowed down ever so slightly in this final minute, but he still has a higher punch output than J.A. Brown.
Yeah, he's probably thrown more volume. You saw the uppercut there. He can be pretty creative, Moreno, when he's on the inside. And Brown has been, you know, pushing forward, trying to make something happen offensively. Then he gets hit with those outbursts from Moreno. This is another one that the judges are going to have maybe a tough time deciding.
3 of the first 4 rounds have been split decisions, and we'll see if this one follows suit in round 5.
Moreno, we mentioned when he's on the inside, can put some punches together. They were in there, and he's trying to battle away, but not able to get too much done. But here's the overhand right, and that uppercut. He's got a good uppercut on the inside, Moreno. And he was, as you pointed out, Justin, a little busier in terms of the volume that he threw in that round. We'll see if that is the difference.
Round 6 at middleweight. Philly, Daytwan Young Garrett. Boston, Rashidi Ellis.
So Moreno continues to be undefeated against Jahe Brown in his TBL career. Philly back in front by 1. But it's been a back and forth launch rounds, and you anticipate it will be back to 4th with Rashidi Ellis in the ring again with Daytwan Young Garrett.
Yeah, Rashidi Ellis doesn't lose very much. He's 34-4 in Team Boxing League, and we had 11 split decisions last night. We're on pace here tonight to match that, perhaps.
If May 30th tells us anything, the sea will saw right here in round 6.
Yeah, Ellis, you saw the points he's produced for his team, and this year, you know, he's not known for his power. He's had several knockdowns that have added points to his wins, and he fights at 160 in Team Boxing League, which is higher than where he is in the rest of the boxing world. He's usually at 147 or 154, and that may give him a little more pop even here.
Rashidi Ellis looking super confident and comfortable in this first 60 seconds with Garrett in front of him.
Well, he beat him twice on May 30th, so he knows that he can do that, of course. And for Garrett, the 27-year-old, he just wants to get inside and make some offense happen, but in the rounds he's had with Ellis, he has not been able to do it.
Seeing the speed from Rashidi Ellis. Ranked 2nd by the WBO, gets the right hand in there. 10th by the WBC at 154 pounds.
And to say that Rashidi Ellis is demonstrative in the ring is the biggest understatement ever. You know, he smiles after everything he lands. He looks and picks somebody out in the crowd to kind of, you know, communicate with.
It doesn't matter the level of opponent. He smiles with everybody in the ring.
Yeah, very good point. That's exactly right. You know, part of the problem for Garrett is when, you know, he's in that defense, he wants to get off offensively, but Ellis is so good at quickly countering you that sometimes it nullifies your offense, you know, before you even start. And obviously not everything there's getting in, the jabs from Ellis, but he's being the busier fighter, and some of them are getting there.
Jab that breaks the guard for Rashidi Ellis. He's been in the driver's seat for a 3-minute joyride this entire round.
Yeah, that's for sure. I announced Rashidi Ellis's only loss in pro boxing outside of TBL against Romain Villa. He lost a controversial decision after getting knocked down several times. He's just but boy, he was in control of that fight, and just as he's in control of this round.
28-1 record in traditional boxing. Here, looking for his 35th career TBL win.
There's the hand speed of Ellis. You know, that's the thing. And again, he's demonstrative in telling us through his facial expressions and everything whether he's done well. And there's the Ellis laugh and smile. And for Garrett, it was just a frustrating, tough round. He landed a couple of shots, but just couldn't get his offense going.
TBL fans, the winner of round 6 by way of unanimous decision. From the Boston Butchers, Rashidi Ellis. The score, Philadelphia 3, Boston 3. Round 7 at super middleweight. Philly, Zaire Jefferson. Boston, Ronald Ellis.
The older brother of Rashidi Ellis and Shaquille Ellis. It's Ronald Ellis. So Ronald in action here in round number 7 at 168 pounds. 4-3 record this season. He and Jefferson did not square off in that May 30th matchup. Ronald he was able to outpoint Jerome McNeil twice.
Yeah, he did his part there for Boston, even though they couldn't get the win. And this is one that when Alex Rivera's looking down the list, this is the one he's looking at and thinking we might be able to pick this off, even though Jefferson has been 4-3 this year and he's a very solid fighter.
You see the season resume for Zaire Jefferson. His first in TBL. Carries a 4-0 mark in traditional boxing. Named the Punisher.
He had a 3-fight win streak that was broken when he lost on May 17th to Yusmel Ruiz. So he had a period here this season where he was kind of on a roll. Ellis is one of those fighters who, in the world of boxing beyond TBL, has been in. I did his fight with David Benavidez, and he's fought Christian Nabili. He's been right there at 168, ranked in the top 10 for a long time. So he's fought tough competition there.
He's built a name as a hired gun type.
Yeah.
Those 5 losses that he has, they've come against some of those top fighters that you mentioned.
And he's 11, he's 16 in TBL. He has not been able to put that into play to have great success so far in TBL, but he's been involved in a lot of, tough fights here.
There's some redness on the left side of the face of Zaire Jefferson. Been a lot of close rounds through the first 6.
And this is another one in which both men have gotten their hooks in on occasion and landed some shots, but neither man dominating the action. Ellis is doing a good job of giving him some angles and movement, just enough to kind of allow him to land some jabs and an occasional left hook.
Which fighter here will pick up their 5th win of the season? The long, lanky Zaire Jefferson. Or Ronald Ellis. Now these two teams tied up at 3. Their 2nd meeting of the season. Philadelphia trying to remain undefeated after tonight. They're the only unbeaten team in the entire league this season. Round 7 finishes up, and another close round.
Both men had moments of being effective offensively as they discuss it, but not sustained. And the jab by Ellis was a good one, and he used it there. And occasionally a left hook would land, as we saw by Jefferson there, and sometimes from Ellis. And Jefferson did more body work than Ellis in that round. The question is how much of it, and was it effective enough? We could be looking at another split decision.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of round 7 by way of unanimous decision from the Boston Butchers, Ronald Ellis. Our final launch round will be in the heavyweight division. Philly Eric Ross, Boston Alvin Vormol Jr.
Vormol making his TBL debut at age 34, and that man, Eric Ross, is 6-0 in team boxing, 2-0 this season, so he's accustomed to winning here.
What's interesting about Eric Ross here, he is 6-0. 4 of those wins have come against Philadelphia fighters in Kanja Nathan and Joey DeVaco. We don't see DeVaco tonight. Kanja is going to be fighting coming up the middle rounds. But this is another nice get for Philadelphia. If you can't beat him, sign him.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, he's got height and reach advantage over Varmel, and he's good at using that.
Ross started the year with Miami. 31-year-old heavyweight from Chicago.
He'll be wanting to use that jab, which he's doing against Varmel, with such a huge gap in terms of height and reach here. For Varmel, who's 18-2-1 in pro ranks outside of TBL, coming in here hoping to kind of make something happen. He's going to have to cut that distance, obviously.
Alvin Varmel Jr. standing at 5 feet 8 inches, and for Eric Ross, 6 feet 7 inches. Varmel, in the past, has competed at cruiserweight. Only 4 times in his career in traditional boxing has he competed at heavyweight, as he eats a big straight right hand from Eric Ross.
Yeah, he has mostly been a cruiserweight, almost completely his pro career. And here he is facing this big heavyweight at 6'7".
With that height disparity out, you know, Ross doesn't have to make it too ugly. He can utilize that jab. You're often seeing him trying to get to the level of Varmel, or maybe even lower, sometimes leading in with his left shoulder.
Yeah, that's not mandatory for him. He could just stay on the outside. Ross has a very good uppercut, and he tries to put himself in position to throw it. A moment ago, he threw it from outside, which you're not really supposed to do. And that's part of the reason he wants to be offensive, but you're right, putting yourself in there where Varmel can get to you. You know, even when Varmel has fought at heavyweight, he's been just barely over the limit. And so he's got a tall order here tonight in taking on a couple of big heavyweights.
Boston with its first lead of the night. They're up 4-3 here in the final round of the launch rounds. Varmel's trying to maintain that lead for Boston, but it is a tall order, literally, right in front of him.
But if you are Boston right now, you don't feel too bad if you're going down by 1 after the launch rounds.
I think if you gave them some truth serum, they would have signed for that on the ring walk.
Yeah, really.
So round 8 concludes.
Well, Eric Ross, hoping that he can stay undefeated in team boxing, and that jab and the height and reach served him pretty well for the most part. That's the uppercut. He loves that punch, and that one landed very effectively. Even though he's throwing it from a little too far out, Varmel not able to counter him, and look, it would be surprising if Ross doesn't stay undefeated.
TBL fans, the winner of round 8 by way of unanimous decision, from Philly, Eric Ross. At the end of the launch rounds, we are even at...
So after the launch rounds, it's a close one in this rematch between these two teams. You may ask what's coming up for Team Boxing League? Well, Justin will tell you all about it.
Thanks so much, Al. Plenty more action coming up between the Smoke and the Butchers, and more action around the corner here in Week 12 in Team Boxing League. Tomorrow, TBO returns to South Florida as Yosdiel Napolis and the Miami Assassins take on Ano Reese Mendez in the New York City Attitude. Then we're moving on to Week 13. Friday, the Las Vegas Hustle return to Utah to take on the LA Elite. On Saturday, it's a matchup with playoff implications as Charles Pugh and the Phoenix Fury take on Ariel Davis in the Atlanta Attack. And then on Sunday, we're back in the Lone Star State, a Texas showdown. San Antonio's home, hosting the Dallas Enforcers. All 24 rounds can be seen right here next week on Team Boxing League.
Some tight action in Boston on a Saturday night. The Butchers in the smoke notched up at 4 through the first 8 rounds. So a 4-4 tie in the second meeting of the season between these two East Division foes. As we welcome you back inside our studios, Justin and Al with you. So in this launch round phase, Al, 5 split decisions, and every member of the Ellis family victorious. Shaquilia, Ronald, and Rashidi.
Yeah, they all got the job done in slightly different ways. Of course, Rashidi Ellis with his demonstrative personality during the rounds and a very technical effort by Ronald. And Shaquilia stays undefeated.
And we're going to see Shaquilia's round in a moment. Right now, let's take a look at a couple of rounds that stood out. And that started in round 2. We talked about these close rounds. This was one of them. Rasheed Brown looking for his 40th career Team Boxing League win, taking on Alexi De La Cruz, who continues to stand out among TBL rookies.
Yeah, Alexi De La Cruz was very aggressive, especially in the early part of this round. And it was an extraordinarily close fight. Mirror images of each other, two lefties. And that man's now 9-1 this season. And history will have to wait.
So the great rookie season continues for him, and here is Shaquilia going up against Brandy Robinson, and more of the same with Shaquilia Ellis.
She came in undefeated, and though Robinson moved a lot and showed good lateral movement, trying to maybe lure Shaquilia Ellis in and land some counter punches, Ellis was just spot on with a really good jab and getting the straight right hand in from time to time, and she would remain undefeated. It's just hard to beat her.
So a lot of back and forth action in those launch rounds, and this is again a matchup between a 6-0 team and a 2-3 Boston squad who's fighting for better positioning in the postseason race. Now we take a look at our round to watch in the middle rounds. It's round 12. It's the round that a lot of people are talking about. Stacia Suttles going up against Sage Rosario. Third meeting for them in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah, we mentioned that there are 10 instances tonight where fighters are fighting each other again after May 30th. That's Sage Rosario, who is getting a pep talk on the sidelines. She, this 19-year-old, faced Suttles before after calling her out, and she lost 2 matches. The first one was close. We'll see what happens tonight.
That's coming up in round number 12. Right now we start the middle rounds with the 9th round. Let's go back to Ray Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to begin the middle rounds between the Philly Smoke and Boston Butchers. At featherweight for Philly, Maria Antunes. Boston, Maria Vavar.
Round number 9, starting up at featherweight. Mirari Vivar. And there you see Maria Antunes. First season in Team Boxing League, 2-4 so far. Has lost 3 straight rounds, trying to reverse course. And for Vivar, back in Team Boxing League, last competed in TBL last July for Los Angeles. East LA born and raised.
And she had her last pro fight was March 8th for Vivar, a win over Sarah Click. But that was March 8th of last year. So she's had a considerable layoff coming into this.
Vivar, 24 years of age. Antunes, 33, meanwhile, out of Erie, Pennsylvania, originally from Honduras. Trying to make her mark here in the 9th round as we start off the middle rounds with a 4-4 tie.
Yeah, she played on the Honduras soccer team, football, as most people call it around the world. And of course, that's in the news these days for sure. And she won the Pennsylvania State amateur title 3 times. She's had a good amateur career. And even though she's 2-4, she showed in her fights, a couple were split decisions, that she had. One of her losses was a split decision. She's shown to be a solid fighter.
Just a ton of athletic ability. You mentioned the soccer experience. She played soccer for the Honduran women's national team. And started boxing after an ACL injury derailed her soccer career.
And then created a really good amateur portfolio for herself. Vivar trying to use the jab to come in and through the right, and then did land the left hook there. So she's using the jab to kind of work her way inside if she can against Antunes.
Big windup with the right hand from Antunes, which came up missing.
Both women are just short with almost all their punches so far. They haven't been able to really close the distance to land effectively. And both are using the jab as a rangefinder to try and get on the inside, but it just hasn't been effective.
Left hand connects from Antunes. But you're right, both fighters continuing to fall short with these throws.
And neither are the kind of fighters that are work on the inside constantly, and we see that in this. Though there's Antunes trying to get some work done on the inside. A good left by Vivar right at the end of the round.
So the lone round of action of the night for both fighters, it concludes.
And we talked about, you know, how important the jab was for both women as they tried to do it. That kind of helped Vivar land a left hook there after the right hand kind of grazed Antunes' face. So this is going to be a tough one to judge.
TBL fans, the winner of round 9 by way of unanimous decision. From Boston, Marari Vivar. Round 10 at lightweight, Philly Francisco Rodriguez. Boston, Hebrew Francois.
I think that one sequence we showed for Vivar, that could have been the difference, that she got a couple of decent punches in there.
Made a lasting impact. So Boston has retaken the lead. Now up 5-4. Here's Francisco Rodriguez and Hebrew Francois. Rodriguez swept Francois in their 2 rounds on May 30th, coming in at 17-13 in his TBL career, both with sub-500 records in 2026.
Yeah, 3-4 for Rodriguez and 4-5 for Francois. And those 2 wins for Rodriguez, he performed very well in them. Francois' problem sometimes has been just a lack of offensive activity in a couple of these fights that he's had, and he'd like to get something more going in terms of volume early in this round. It's amazing, Rodriguez with knockouts in all 8 of his professional victories, and yet none in TBL, because these are 2 different animals.
And for the most part, competing at 130 pounds, most recently jumping up to 135. 5 extra pounds serving him well. Looks pretty lean.
Rodriguez has a good left hook. We saw him try and land it there. When he gets on the inside, he's good at doing it to the body and the head, the double left hook. I think one of the things tonight in general that's made it difficult to judge some of these matches is not everybody is getting everything done offensively that they want. It's just sometimes nights are like that in team boxing where the matchups are such, because they're, no matchmaker picked them. They're, they're out there and they're often very exciting, but sometimes the two men matched up can't quite get what they want done offensively. And I think this match is kind of an example of that.
Well, there's an accidental head clash with those two sort of rustling around the ring, and it's opened up a cut on the forehead of Francisco Rodriguez.
And yeah, you can see the blood starting to flow there. Rodriguez switches to lefty, trying to make something happen here in these final moments.
Good right hand coming through from Hebrew Francois. And just looking ahead, you hope that cut doesn't get worse. These two are scheduled to fight in the 24th round. That'll do it.
And the good break for him is it wasn't right around the eye, but still. Well, Rodriguez thinks he might have gotten it done, and there were flashes of offense for him in that last round. And there's one really nice left hook. I mentioned his left hook earlier and how good it can be, and that was an example of one that got in. And some of that awkward action that you talked about that created the clash of heads between these two in the cut, that might have been the actual sequence that did that. And you could see Rodriguez complaining.
TBL fans, the winner of round 10 by way of unanimous decision. From the Boston Butchers, Hebrew Francois. Round 11 at featherweight, Philly Shaquille Ellis, Boston Brandy Robinson.
So on the heels of back-to-back rounds won by Boston, here is Shaquille Ellis trying to restore a little bit of order for the Philadelphia Smoke. Her second round against Brandy Robinson, following the wins from Francois and Vivar for the Butchers to open up the middle rounds.
If you're Bob Kane, the coach of Philadelphia, and you were asked the question, who would I like to get in there to stem the bleeding, this would be your answer. Shaquille Ellis, who has never lost in the TBL. And Robinson, she used a lot of movement in the last round. You see that the spotless record of Shaquille Ellis, the longest tenured undefeated fighter in the TBL, which is, astonishing. And you see Robinson, she's not on her bicycle as much as she was in round one. She said, well, I got to do something different here, even though she is a mover in general. And she'd like to see if she can maybe stay in the pocket and do something here against Ellis.
For much of that round, Robinson was a pretty jittery fighter. And Ellis, not deterred, stayed with her game plan. Was able to dodge whatever Robinson was throwing at her, and was able to launch a left hand right there, and again, get out of the way of anything coming back from Brandy Robinson.
I said this in the first round, that Ellis herself was often fighting the way Robinson did in the first round, being a boxer that's counter-punching. And sure enough, in this round, Robinson decides to be more aggressive. And we see Ellis in that posture, and we saw her land a really good left hand. It's Robinson fighting off the front foot, but just not doing quite as well as Ellis did in the last round.
Amelia, I want to ask you, because you've spent time around some of the Ellis family here. I mean, you've seen Rashidi up close as his teammate. What do you feel Shaquille possesses that let me phrase it this way. What of Rashidi's fight style rubs off on Shaquille, do you think?
Well, I mean, they're all super slick, but you have to remember that Shaquille Ellis, she has more experience than both the brothers. She's an Olympian, and I think that's what we're seeing in the ring. Even though there's a lot of movement, Brandy has to know what to do with that movement. Now she's not moving as much, but if you're straight down the line where she's going to catch you, you have to be able to have a good defense on that. If you're going to move, why are you moving? Everything has to be very intentional, because you've got an athlete that is in Shaquille Ellis, that knows and has seen it all.
Ellis landed a really good straight right hand a moment ago as Robinson was coming in. And so she's shown her mettle as a counterpuncher in this round, which is really kind of extraordinary. Fighting one round with a style that you had to fight, being the aggressor. Now, you know, in this round, it's been Robinson coming forward and you're countering.
Robinson trying to see if she can catch Shaquille off guard. Ellis not having any of it. Another sound performance by a member of the Ellis family.
That's been the theme this evening. And that's the counter left hook that we talked about as Brandy Robinson tried to come in. And that's, you know, the other interesting thing is Robinson had to kind of adopt a different personality and be a fighter on the front foot coming in. It's not what she does the best. And there's the example of the great defense by Ellis.
The winner of round 11 by way of split decision from the Philly Smoke, Shaquille Ellis. Round 12 at super lightweight, Philly Stasia Sotos, Boston Sage Rosario.
Well, here's our round to watch, Al. Stasia Sotos, Sage Rosario. Sotos 9-2 this season, one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the league against this 19-year-old out of Manhattan, Kansas, who had 2 rounds with Sotos on May the 30th. Held her own, but did go down in defeat.
Yeah, the first fight, the offense of Rosario, she's a very aggressive fighter, was able to get some things done. It was close. The second fight, Sotos kind of took control. And there's Rosario coming in. She's an aggressive fighter, and she will move her hands, and she will come in and attack, and it's up to Sotos, who in the second fight did it to counter her effectively.
Amelia, what part of Rosario in her first taste of Team Boxing League caught your eye?
You know, her aggression. It was also her absolute confidence in herself. She just came off of her second Golden Gloves, you know, title 2 years in a row, and that's saying something. That's a hard tournament. But she came in with a lot of confidence, and she believes in herself, and she's a tough cookie, man. This girl's very, very strong. But you're also going and having that confidence to be able to call somebody out that you know, it's like going to jail. And you're like, I'm going to fight the biggest guy in jail.
Yeah, assert your dominance. She just landed a right hand. Sotos comes back with a straight right.
Yeah, that Rosario right, which was very effective in when she stopped Susanna Griffin, and then after that was where she called Sotos out. But there's Sotos with the right hand again. Sotos landed more left hooks in the second round that they had, but the counter right for her is a big weapon. And Rosario's been a little more cautious in the way she has attacked than the last time. And I think that's by design, because the counterpunching of Sotos, especially in the second round they fought, was very good.
Right hand from each woman, finding their landing spots in this round. A little over a minute to go. Again, the only round that they'll fight this evening.
The Sotos jab has been less active in this fight than normal. And that helps set up the right hand. There she tried it, and the right didn't quite get there. Rosario has a habit of keeping her head a little too high when she attacks.
Sage landing there. You hear the corner from the Boston Butchers yelling advice to Sage Rosario.
Sotos has unlimited the jab a little bit more to the body and the head. If you're Suttles, she has not allowed herself to be caught on the ropes very much in this round, and she doesn't want to. That's what Sage Rosario would like to do against her.
Trey blows in the corner. And the round concludes. Good scrap between Suttles and Rosario.
Some quick, short right hands by Suttles toward the end of that round.
This 140-pound weight class in Team Boxing League continues to be one of the best.
It really does. And there's a left hook by Suttles. I mentioned that in the second round they had, she used that punch more. See the counter punching. Rosario did some good things offensively as she was coming in, but more often I think the Suttles countering was a little bit more effective. We'll see what the judges think.
TBL fans, the winner of round 12 by way of split decision. From the Philly Smoke, Stacia Suttles. We are even at 6.
Suttles takes it via split decision, and we are tied up once again. Philly and Boston notched at 6.
I am here ringside with the legendary and the prized possession of New England and Boston's own Mickey Ward. So, you know, Mickey, you were here for Boston's debut with TBL, and actually it was my pro debut. And Mr. Birchfield, who's the owner of CES and also the Boston Butchers, had said you were a little bit hesitant to come out to watch that debut in 2024. Has your opinion changed since then?
Oh no, I mean I wasn't really hesitant to come out at all, and I love it. I think the concept is great. I mean, it's something I don't know if I could ever get used to when I fought, but I think the concept is great, and I enjoy it.
Is there anything about like Team Boxing League, a league of this type, that can deliver something that traditional boxing can't, that you see?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's hard. I mean, it's very hard to, like, being a pro, like a seasoned pro, going into like a one round thing. But you know, it works for a lot of guys. But for me personally, it wouldn't work for me.
He says, "I know. I want all the time in the ring." But just for New England fighters alone, are you happy to see more opportunities kind of popping up for them to be able to get activity and exposure?
Absolutely. This gives them a lot of exposure in front of the fighting on TV and stuff like that. So it gives them more exposure, more confidence, and it gives them and you fight more. You know, even though it's one round, you're still getting ready for a fight, and that's good.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time. I love having you here ringside, and we appreciate you always, sir.
Thank you so much.
Justin, Al?
Thanks so much, Amelia. Let's get to round 13. Go back to Ray Flores.
Round 13 at welterweight, Philly Isaiah Johnson, Boston Thomas Blumenfeld.
Johnson and Blumenfeld going at it with the score tied at 6. Great to hear from Mickey Ward with Amelia.
one of the great guys in boxing, and of course has put on legendary performances. I announced many of his bouts back in the day on ESPN.
23rd anniversary of his final fight with Arturo Gatti, just passing last week.
Amazing. You know, Thomas Blumenfeld making his debut in TBL. He's a really solid pro fighter, a 28-year-old who's 12-0 with 10 KOs, and taking on an Isaiah Johnson, a very successful TBL fighter who's 29-6, and who is producing all kinds of points this year. This is a really intriguing matchup.
Johnson going for his 30th career TBL win. Blumenfield, a 28-year-old southpaw out of Springfield, Vermont.
Yeah, originally Quebec, and he for this format, I got to tell you, I think he's a fighter that belongs here, because look at how effective he is early. He loves to come out and bang, and he's got 10 KOs in his 12 wins, and he's producing, along with Isaiah Johnson, a really fun round of boxing.
And it's been back and forth. We've had a lot of split decisions here, Al. The element of Blumenfeld largely being an unknown in this format, but now what we're seeing, again, this could be a pivotal round before this night is over.
Yeah, absolutely. I really agree with you, and this is the spot where Boston, you know, they're happy about the position they're in. They're competitive in this contest, and both men landing really good shots. Two left-handers who are very busy and throwing a lot. Blumenfeld's done good work downstairs to the body as well.
Blumenfeld continuing to turn with Isaiah Johnson. And a good back and forth. Johnson gets a connect to the body.
You know, it's interesting how Blumenfeld has been able to cut the distance on him, using the jab to do it. Johnson likes fighting from the outside, but he's been forced to be in there. Look at that Blumenfeld jab. That's really good.
He snapped Johnson's head back with a number of jabs already.
And you see Isaiah Johnson, he's a tough cookie, fighting back, and he's a good combination puncher. He'll land his share against a fighter like Blumenfeld, who's all offense, but he's having a tough time dealing with this guy.
This has been a good close-range scrap between Johnson and Blumenfield.
Both men landing the right hook. There's the hand speed of Isaiah Johnson flashing. Man, this is fun. We're looking at a potential round of the night for sure.
They sure are. Left hand comes through from Blumenfield. You have a kid out of Philadelphia, another out of Vermont, but it's all Mexican style between Blumenfield and Johnson here in round 13.
Boy, and they're smiling at each other. They know they did something special. And Isaiah Johnson, who is 8-1 this season, gets a newcomer that comes to TBL loaded for bear. And Johnson doing good work on the inside, but here's Blumenfeld just blasting away. That was a tremendous straight left hand, and I think for a moment or two it slowed Isaiah Johnson down, even though Johnson came back in the round later on. But both these men doing exceptional work, and the jab of Blumenfeld was kind of a thudding jab. It was a bludgeoning punch. They got the referee talking strategy with him in there.
Johnson will be back in action in round 20. But for Blumenfeld,
TBL fans, the winner
it's his only round of the night.
13 by way of split decision. From Boston, Thomas Blumenfeld. Round 14 at light heavyweight. Philly, Jesse Hart. Boston, Steve Sumter.
So Blumenfeld wins his TBL debut. That means Boston has retaken the lead up 7-6. And again, that is a valuable win for the Butchers, Al, because now you see the last 3 rounds. Jesse Hart and Steve Cunningham Sr. Those are 2 money round fighters for Philadelphia. And those two have a wealth of TBL experience. For Boston to be in the lead at round 14. This makes this night, puts a lot of pressure on Philadelphia moving forward.
Yeah, it really does. I mean, they're undefeated. They want to, continue that way. And Boston came to fight tonight, that's for sure. And a guy like Blumenfeld, to unveil him at this point in the season, if they can continue to trot him out, I think he's going to be very valuable to them as we head into them, hopefully, from their standpoint, getting a playoff berth.
Jesse Hart coming in at 8-2 against Steven Sumter, who is 1-8 this year. This is a round Philadelphia expects to grab.
Yeah, and Hart has a good history against Sumter. He's won he's 4-1 against or 5-1 against Steven Sumter.
That includes 2 wins on May the 30th.
Sumter's issue, and part of the reason why his TBO record has not been as good as his record outside of it, where he's 11-2-1 and the rest of pro boxing, is he has just had a hard time getting his offense going within this 3-minute period.
He's dropped 6 straight rounds. Native out of Lawrence, Massachusetts. And it was a slow start to the season for Jesse Hart, but he's done better lately.
Yeah, he had a couple. His 2 losses came to Johanner Martinez, who, of course, is now 8-1.
Oh, right hand comes through and rocks Sumter.
Yeah, great shot by Hart. So the man he lost to twice, Martinez, is a terrific fighter.
Jab falling short for Jesse Hart right there. And a takedown from Steven Sumter, but it doesn't count in boxing.
The straight right by Hart is a good weapon for him. And of course, he wants to use that against the left-hander, and did. And again.
It's 1-2 combo from Jesse Hart, setting it up with that jab. Final 25 seconds.
Hart is such a smart fighter, too. He knows, tonight he's doing exactly what he needs to do, to stay on the outside, do just enough offensively to win and not put himself in harm's way. He is the very definition of a veteran in the sport.
That's not a knockdown. Hart slipping in these final seconds with Steven Sumter. So we'll again go to the judges' scorecards. A lot of respect between those 2 fighters. And we'll see them again in round 18. A quick turnaround for a pair of light heavyweights.
And that's part of the reason why I think Hart said to himself, I'm not going to, I'm a 36-year-old here. I'm going to make sure I do just enough to win this. And there's one of the right hands he landed. The dominant punch in that round was the Hart right, which got in 4 or 5 times pretty well. And that was the slip that was not a knockdown. So Jesse Hart may have righted the ship here for Philadelphia.
TBL fans, the winner of round 14 by way of unanimous decision. From the Philly Smoke, Jesse Hart. We are even at 7. Round 15 at cruiserweight. Philly Steve Cunningham Sr. Boston Miguel Teo.
There's Miguel Teo, who's won 3 in a row, including a round against Cunningham back on May 30th. They split their 2 meetings in Team Boxing League.
And this is one of the rare cases where it was the Boston fighter who had their way in the last time these 2 teams met. And they'd like to get that again.
Round 15, again, tied at 7. Amelia, what do you think? Does this mean added pressure for Philadelphia as we head to the money rounds?
100%. You know, it's. I feel like they might be even a little bit shocked that we're that deep in the middle rounds and they're not a stretch ahead. So excellent to see. Maybe they're having an off night. You know, don't hold anybody's breath. We've got a whole set of money rounds to go. But impressed to see Team Boxing League. Impressed to see Boston Butchers actually where they are right now.
What'd you think of Blumenfeld? Again, being unleashed at this point in the season.
Where did they find this kid? I just asked him. They said, "Oh, I can't tell you." Andrew Rivera, Alex's son, says, "Can't tell us all your secrets." But yeah, what a gem to be able to find to come in. Really good, solid boxing. I mean, he straight punches, good under pressure, and willing to push the gas.
Miguel Teo is being very aggressive against Cunningham, and he's a solid fighter. National Golden Gloves semifinalist, 15 years as an amateur fighter, and he's having a good season, a 3-1 this season in TBL.
Comes through with a right counter on Cunningham. Dodges a right hand from USS Cunningham. And Miguel Teo looking pretty sharp here in round 15.
I think sometimes the matchups, Miguel Teo, for a variety of reasons, he lands a big counter right hand, is not a good matchup, even though he's 1-1 overall against Cunningham. I think at this juncture, he's not the best matchup for Steve Cunningham. Cunningham's had a kind of a difficult year at 3-6.
Cunningham wobbly now, trying to hold on with Teo, who continues to press the gas. You saw a big inhale from Steve Cunningham Sr. with 30 seconds to go. Miguel Teo is thinking extra points here against the 49-year-old cruiserweight, the former world champion.
He'd love to create a knockdown here before this round ends.
Still some time to play with. Came through with a right uppercut. You hear the Boston corner urging him on all the way until the final bell. Another right-hand counter. And some beautiful punches from Miguel Teo in round 15.
The right-hand counter was so effective for him as Cunningham was lunging in, as he was trying to throw some of those left hooks. And there's Cunningham against the ropes. That was after Teo had kind of stunned him. And Cunningham kind of wobbling around. There's one of those right hands from Teo as he was on the inside battling away against Steve Cunningham. And here's the counter right, one of the counter rights that he landed. That was a beauty, and that was right toward the end of the round. But a good round of boxing for Teo.
TBL fans, the winner of round 15 by way of unanimous decision. From the Boston Butchers, Miguel Teo. Our final middle round will be in the heavyweight division. Philly Smoke, Conjure Nathan. Boston Butchers, Michael Coffey.
Conjure Nathan coming through the ropes. And Michael Coffey going at it in the 16th round, the final round of the middle round phase, with Boston ahead 8-7. And what a huge pick-me-up that round number 15 was for the Butchers with Miguel Teo.
And Conjure Nathan won a split decision when they got together on May 30th.
Ferocity behind those punches. Gets that left arm tied up by Coffey.
Yeah, I mean, Michael Coffey, a veteran heavyweight, This is what Conjure Nathan does, though. He just wants to get on the inside and create a brawl. It's been a roller coaster season for him. I mean, he scored a knockout during the course of the year. He had a brawl with Dusan Velitic. He got knocked out of the ring by Devon Young. I mean, it's been all up and down for Conjure Nathan, and a 5-5 record. So he's had a lot of activity this year that's wild, and he comes to fight, that's for sure.
Quality hooks that landed from close range along the ropes from Conjure Nathan earlier in this round.
Nathan switches to lefty briefly there, and he will do that from time to time. Michael Coffey's issue sometimes in TBL fights is he doesn't use a ton of volume. And he's one of those, you know, he has fought on the highest level against people like Fabio Wardley back in 2023 in Great Britain. And he didn't win that fight, but he hung in there with him. And he's a good body puncher, and there is evidence of that.
Over a minute to go. Long reach from Coffey. Extends that jab. And a staring contest.
You know, the early part of this round where Conjure Nathan was able to get on the inside, he was very effective, but Coffey has neutralized that a little bit with some jabs and some of that good body work and making Conjure Nathan think twice about those bull rushes. And when Conjure Nathan's on his back foot, that is not where he wants to be. So that's an advantage for Coffey right now.
And it is neutralized Conjure Nathan in this final minute. To the point where, if you're a judge, you may be swayed toward this adjustment made by Michael Coffey.
Yeah, now it's up to Coffey to land punches, though, right? You know, and he did land some good body work, and there was a wild right hand. But while he's got this, you know, geographical advantage against Nathan, he's got to land something.
Well, the round ends, and it was a round of two halves for sure. We'll see which one holds sway in the eyes of the judges, and this could be big. Boston theoretically could be up 2 going to the money rounds.
Pretty amazing, and this will, I think, be determined, the decision on whether they gave Coffey credit for those body shots to Conjure Nathan. Some smiles on the sidelines for the Boston Butchers.
And why not? You got to be feeling really confident right now. Let's get the final decision in the middle rounds.
TBL fans, the winner of round 16 by way of split decision. From the Philly Smoke, Conjure Nathan. At the end of the middle rounds, we are tied at 8. Every moment of TBL season is live.
And so we will be back after these exciting middle rounds in a knotted up contest. And let's talk about where you can see TBL.
And it's great to have you with us for Team Boxing League action here in Week 12. Here's how you can tell other fans where to catch us, as Team Boxing League can be seen on a number of different platforms. You can now watch us on MSG Networks, the Gotham Sports app, Spectrum Sportsnet, and Nesson, as well as our home network, Envoy Fast. Plus, the full season of Encores are on Envoy TV every day. Just download the Envoy app. Connected TV users with Samsung, Apple TV, Amazon Fire, Roku, and LG devices can download the TBL app and watch both live action and play previous matches on demand. TBL is also seen on YouTube, the TBL app, and in Spanish on the Estrella Network.
Well, it has been a tight, low-scoring seesaw battle in Beantown. Philadelphia and Boston notched at 8 through 16 rounds. And I don't know how many people thought that we would be in this position heading into the money round phase. We welcome you back, Justin and Al, inside our TBL studios. More action to come from Roadrunner, including the final 8 rounds. But again, tied at 8, Al. How did we get here?
I think we got here because in the matches where we pretty much thought Boston was going to take them, like the Ellis round and a couple others, they did. And then they broke through on a couple of rounds, including a newcomer who really helped them.
Yeah, we're going to take a look at some of those fights that stood out in the middle rounds, including round number 12. This was the round to watch, not only in the middle rounds, but the entire event. Stacia Suttles, Sage Rosario meeting up for a third time, and Suttles able to edge it out.
Yeah, it was a slightly less aggressive Rosario, still coming forward and landing some punches, but getting hit with counter punches by Suttles, as happened in their first 2 meetings, and it was just enough for Suttles to get the decision.
By split decision, but you mentioned the newcomer, that's Thomas Blumenfeld. This was a big round for the TBL rookie, making his debut here against Isaiah Johnson.
Yeah, an undefeated fighter in the rest of pro boxing, making his TBL debut, and he showed why he's suited to this format against a very formidable 8-1 Isaiah Johnson, landing good shots on the inside, using a thudding jab to work his way inside and doing good body work. Isaiah Johnson made it a fantastic round as well, but it was Blumenfeld that got the job done.
So now you have 8 more rounds to go, tied at 8 for each team. You're looking for any little edge you could possibly get. We turn our attention to round 17, the round that's going to start it off, our round to watch. Lysandra Contreras trying to go for the 2-round sweep over Christina Cruz.
When we selected this and thought of this as a round to watch, I think part of it was we were wondering where we were going to be at this time, and would these 2 women from different generations, Contreras, the 21-year-old, and the 43-year-old Cruz, how would they have handled their first fight? Well, turns out Contreras handled it very, very well. Boston will be looking for Cruz to do something dramatic.
Yeah, Contreras set the table in the launch rounds. Can she provide steadiness for Philadelphia at the start of the money rounds? About to find out as we go back inside with Ray Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is now time to begin the money rounds between the Philly Smoke and Boston Butchers. Round 17 at bantamweight. Philly, Lysandra Contreras. Boston, Christina Cruz.
Contreras, the more aggressive and dominant puncher in that round number 1 showdown with Christina Cruz. She improved to 6-1 so far.
Cruz is going to have to find a way to not get hit by that right hand of Contreras. When Contreras was fighting as a righty for much of the round, the right hand was just raining onto Cruz. Of course, Cruz is a veteran, so she's been around the block. And you see the Contreras, with now a 6-1 record, has produced a lot of points, including a knockdown win for her as well. In fact, the knockout win.
Little by little here, you saw the net points moments ago. Contreras is making a case for herself to be a candidate, or at least enter the conversation for TBL Rookie of the Year.
Yeah, you're right, Justin. She is, and there are some candidates for that, but she is adding to what is an amazing group of women boxers for this Philly team. You know, Shaquille Ellis, Stacia Suttles, and she could be adding another piece to this. It makes them very, very difficult to deal with.
Some punches falling short at the start of this round for Contreras, but she's also been able to get out of the way from anything Cruz has launched. Sandra Contreras, 21-year-old Dominican out of Passaic, New Jersey. She's doing all this as her hometown gym, as she connects with a right hand, just crumbled last month in a 9-alarm fire in Belleville, New Jersey. The good news is she and her lead trainer, Yesenia Montalvo, who is in the corner of the Philadelphia Smoke right now alongside Bob Kane. And you hear a female's voice. That is Yesenia as Contreras comes forward with a good three-punch combo. She's the owner of that gym. They just secured another location that'll keep the gym going, and it provides a great training ground for a lot of the boxing youth in northern New Jersey. And Contreras, one of the standout young pros in that stable. Yeah, she's 3-0 as a pro outside of TBL. The last win was in December with the TKO win, and she is a good prospect both for the Team Boxing League here and in general in boxing. And the big right hand. She may be looking for extra points. Yeah, catching Cruz off balance right here. And Christina Cruz holding on to Lysandra Contreras. Final 30 seconds. Cruz is on her bike. Contreras perhaps sniffing a little blood in the water. Maybe thinking some extra points here. And now Cruz trying to fight back. Every second precious in an 8-8 tie between Philadelphia and Boston. And this round getting spicier by the second. Cruz landing some punches, especially that right hand. Contreras trying to battle back. Time winds down. That's an entertaining start to the money rounds. Well, at the end, just when it looked like Christina Cruz was in a four-corner offense to not get knocked down or knocked out, she came back with offense of her own, but it was Contreras who was just dominant. There's the right hand again that we talked about, that she landed so much in the first encounter between these two women, and then would get it in again. And she had Cruz in trouble toward the end of that round with some of those right hands. Had her, that was one of the ones that right at the end of the round that landed, but great job by Contreras in her second fight with Cruz.
TBL fans, the winner of round 17 by way of unanimous decision. From Philly, Lysandra Contreras. The score, Philly 9, Boston 8. Round 18 at light heavyweight, Philly, Jesse Hart. Boston, Steve Sumter.
So Philadelphia takes the lead back up 9-8 after Contreras beats Cruz for the second time tonight. Quick turnaround for Jesse Hart and Steve Sumter here in round 18. Hart winning decisively over Sumter. One more note, though, going back to that last round now. Lysandra Contreras now 7-1. Where was she discovered? At the TBL Combine, way back at the start of 2026.
That is pretty amazing. And of course, a young pro who went there and showed them her wares. And that Combine has produced several really good fighters for this TBL season.
Jesse Hart back in action here in round 18. Amelia, you've been sitting right near the Boston corner this entire night, right by the Rivera family as well. What has the energy been like in that corner, as Boston is now only trailing by 1 point, but they have had to have made Philadelphia sweat?
If you know anything about the Riveras, you know that their energy is always high.
It's always high. And
Andrew Rivera chiming in there, but very true. The Boston team right now, they're on it. You know, they know that this is big, and there's been such that we know about the rivalry between Philly and Boston. So this is a big deal, and there's been really good judging tonight. So energy's just through the roof.
This is a round in which, you know, Jesse Hart, as we said, in the first round against Sumter, he kind of kept his energy so that he would be able to function here with the quick turnaround. And we're seeing him be a little bit more aggressive in this second round against Sumter.
You know, something that I see, Al, is I really wish that Sumter would keep up that lead hand. And you know, Steve Cunningham, or not Steve Cunningham, Jesse Hart. Jesse Hart's so experienced in there, and it's like he sees these things where he can capitalize, especially being a southpaw. So it's, you know, these little things that we give away to our opponents, and it's one thing that I just have been really locked in on, because they can play that. They can play that lead hand game, you know, against each other.
Yeah, Steven Sumter's big issue has been in TBL here is he's not been able to get his offense going. And not using the jab is part of the issue.
You see that right hand, it's waist level for Steve Sumter.
And even
jab that lands from Hart.
Hey, I'm sorry, Justin. And even when he's moving forward, Sumter just isn't moving his hands enough. There was a wild left that didn't get there. Jesse Hart kind of looking around, trying to figure out what's left in this round and what can I do here to cement things. Hart's been a little less dominant in this round than he was in the first one.
Not as much punch volume from Hart as was the case in his previous round. Good job getting himself out of poor position. He has his hand raised, thinking he did enough. May be true. We'll get the official decision in a few moments.
And if this does put Philadelphia up a couple of points, it makes the Boston not. Certainly, they still have many options left. They've got Rashidi Ellis coming up. Javon Bess, who got a kind of an upset victory in his last outing against Henry Cedeno earlier.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of round 18 by way of unanimous decision from Philly, Jesse Hart. The score, Philadelphia 10, Boston 8. Round 19 at middleweight, Philly, Daytwan Young Garrett. Boston, Rashidi Ellis.
So Philadelphia now with a 10-8 lead. And here comes Rashidi Ellis yet again. Now, out 35-3 record. Rashidi Ellis in Team Boxing League. You saw him figuratively play with his food with Daytwan Garrett in front of him earlier tonight. He has one knockout among those 35 wins, one stoppage. You'd have to feel like Rashidi Ellis is going in there with extra points on his mind.
Yes, and he has created some knockdowns. So while he's not a knockout artist, he can create knockdowns, and that would add an additional point onto this, and you know, could tie this match up. You know, he's going to be looking for a couple of power shots here if he can. And a lot of that will depend on how much Garrett opens up. We talked about Garrett being more conservative with his punch output because of the counter-punching of Ellis.
Ellis trying to break through that high guard from Garrett. And it's forced Garrett to maybe throw more punches. The left hook comes behind the guard of Garrett and lands for Ellis.
That's when you know Ellis is thinking power. When he starts throwing left hooks, I mean, he's content to box and use jab, straight right hand. When he starts throwing hooks to the body and the head, and look at his posture, you know he's thinking power.
Are you surprised more, though, as cerebral as a fighter Ellis is, and he's not paying more attention to the body?
Yeah, you know, he's a good body puncher, but he did get a couple of good shots there. And what he wants to do is throw that double left hook. If he can get a really good left hook downstairs, that'll open up the second left hook, and there was a nice hook to the head. That will be what he thinks is his power punch to hurt Garrett.
That straight right hand now going through the guard of Garrett for Rashidi Ellis.
And you know, Ellis, who has been, of course, a charter member of this team boxing, you know, he understands the concept, so he knows why it's important for him to pressure, why it's important for him to look for those extra points at this point right now, and he's doing exactly what he needs to do.
Dajuan Garrett has the look of someone who's just trying to survive at the moment.
Yeah, he's almost in a four corners offense, really.
And look, if you survive without giving up more than 1 point, in many ways, that is a win for your team.
Yeah, at this juncture, it kind of is. There's the right hand to the body downstairs by Ellis. You know, Rashidi Ellis is just desperate to get that hook in, and a couple of times when Garrett threw the right hook of his own, he just thought that might be a chance for a big power surge. Look back at the action in which Ellis just was pretty much dominant at every moment in that round. A couple of right hands, I thought, made an impact on Garrett, and Ellis throwing a nice short left hook. Takes time out to tell us about it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the winner of round 19 by way of unanimous decision from the Boston Butchers, Rashidi Ellis. Round 20 at lightweight, Philly Rasheed Brown, Boston Alexia De La Cruz.
So the originally scheduled round for the 20th was between Isaiah Johnson and Gavon Bess. That has been waved off, and in comes Rasheed Brown and Alexi De La Cruz. And Al, I wish Bess and Johnson well, but I am really in the mood for this second round between De La Cruz and Brown tonight.
Yeah, and Bess with a surprise upset win earlier was certainly setting himself up as an interesting guy to watch. But yes, it was a split decision in which De La Cruz beat Brown and gives Brown now another chance to get to that 40th win that he didn't expect to have, and he felt he won the first fight.
We'll see how he applies that back into this round, but the stakes are even higher when you take a look at that 10-9 score in favor of Philadelphia. De La Cruz trying to beat Brown for a second time tonight. Brown trying to restore order and pad the lead for the Smoke, give them some insurance rounds. The Dominican is impressed this entire TBL season, more than holding his own.
Yeah, you know, you could make a case it's kind of a quiet 9-1, right? But he just continues to win. And that last fight was a perfect example. Did just enough to get the job done against a man that is not accustomed to ever losing.
I love that you mentioned that because it's kind of been a quiet TBL career for Rasheed Brown.
Yes.
39-5. All this gentleman does is win.
Yeah, that's a very good point. And you know, he was not happy that he didn't get the decision in the last fight, and I'm sure he wants to try and turn this around. With half of this round gone, it's just like the first one. It's very, very close. I think De La Cruz might be a little busier overall than Brown, which isn't to say that means he's winning the round, but been a little more volume from him. And they're so similar, two lefties that do essentially the same things that it's very hard to choose among them.
Rasheed Brown trying to avoid losing 2 rounds in one event for the first time ever. Philadelphia up over Boston 10-9. We wind things down here at Roadrunner in Boston, Massachusetts. Philadelphia trying to hold on and continue to be the lone unbeaten team in TBL this season. And De La Cruz letting those punches go.
You know, the length of De La Cruz has been an issue for Brown. He's been able to control the geography a little bit more in this fight. and made Rasheed Brown, who isn't by nature a stalker, made him have to come to him and maybe absorb a couple of punches that he didn't want to take.
Right hand connects on Brown at close range out of the clinch, but you wonder if he needed to do more. De La Cruz pretty confident that he did enough to pick up a second win over Rasheed Brown.
Rasheed Brown losing twice in a night, if it happens, is a news story. But we'll see. This was a close round to be sure. But De La Cruz is already dancing. He feels like he won it.
This judge's decision is pretty big.
TBL fans, the winner of round 20 by way of unanimous decision. From Boston, Alexi De La Cruz. We are tied once again at
De La Cruz sweeps 2 rounds over Rasheed Brown. And we are tied yet again. Final 4 rounds coming up when we come back in Boston. Boston and Philly tied at 10, ready for the final 4 rounds. Let's go back to Ray Flores.
round 21 at cruiserweight. Philly Steve Cunningham Sr., Boston Miguel Teo.
So a massive win for Alexi De La Cruz in the prior round. He and Rasheed Brown called on to fill in round 20, and De La Cruz picks him off for a second time tonight, keeping this one tied. You look at the final 4 rounds. This is truly anyone's event. Emilio Moore right now standing by with the head coach of Boston, Alex Rivera.
Coach Rivera, so I just want to ask you a quick question. What was the deciding factor to put Alexi De La Cruz back in? You know, we have a couple different athletes in the swing rounds. Where was that decision made?
Well, Coach Bob was complaining that we didn't have nobody to fight Rasheed, so I give him 2 rounds instead of 1, and we're 2-0 against his star fighter, and it was a good decision. We ended up winning both rounds.
So tonight you guys are right there. You're right on the. This is amazing. I mean, what a spectacular performance coming against Philly, massive rivals. What are your predictions for tonight? What are you feeling from the team? And kind of what did you talk to them about when you guys were in the locker room to kind of pull this off?
I was honest. I said I thought that when we fought Philly last time, it was a couple of bad decisions, and I'm not gonna let them lose at home. I told them we're home. Don't let nobody come here at your house and disrespect you like that.
Love that. Thank you so much, Coach, for your insight.
So Alex Rivera giving Philadelphia a double dose of Alexi De La Cruz, because apparently in Rivera's eyes, Philly felt that there was no one there for them to match up Rasheed Brown with.
Well, I mean, Philadelphia coming in, there were a couple of things they didn't expect to see happen tonight. One of them was Rasheed Brown losing twice, and he did. And right now, Miguel Teo, who beat Steve Cunningham earlier is kind of controlling the action in this round.
And he beat him decisively.
Yes. Had him hurt, I think, at a couple of points.
Stiff jab right there from Miguel Teo. Snaps Cunningham's head back.
I think Miguel Teo is, this season, has been an awakening for him. And look at him go after Steve Cunningham.
Now he's ripping rights and lefts off as they move back to the middle of the ring. And that right hand hurt Cunningham back in round 15.
I mean, Teo came into this season with a sub-500 record in team boxing. A good fighter, but in this season now, he's headed toward a 5-1 record. Oh, my.
The right hand, it stumbled Cunningham, but it was Teo's glove that hit the floor, and that is ruled a knockdown by the referee. And Ali's not going to have enough time to make up for it. The seconds winding down as Teo tries to unload. Cunningham smartly holding on.
It's a big moment. There may have been something that landed for Cunningham in that sequence, but boy, Teo doesn't think it. He's even shoving the referee. That's how annoying.
Got to be careful there.
Yeah. What a bad development for Teo, but Steve Cunningham's happy about it. Let's take a look. It was Teo on the attack. There was a counterpunch. It's hard to tell if it landed or not. Maybe this will give us a better look. Well, the referee got in the way there. That's a tough one.
If the punch landed, it was the overhand right from Cunningham, and it would have hit the forehead of Teo. And there's the end where Teo does shove the referee. You don't want to see that. It's a tough call to make. Here's Jimmy Birchfield asking for some type of explanation here. And Teo's still in the ring.
He's very, very distressed. Doesn't feel like it was a punch that put him down. And now you can have an extra point for the knockdown, but still give Teo the round. There is a way to do that. But he would probably, you know, but the extra point would go to, in any case, to Boston.
I don't know if Cunningham stopped dancing.
TBL fans, the winner of round 21 by way of unanimous decision. 2 points going to the Billy Smoke, Steve Cunningham Sr.
Well, Miguel Teo leaves the ring. Still
round
no overwhelming evidence.
And heavyweight Billy Eric Ross, Boston Michael Coffey.
Still no overwhelming evidence of a punch landed. And it'd be interesting to see that replay yet again. But that is a huge swing moment in tonight's event. 2 points the first time a round has led to multiple points being scored.
Seminal moment in this match for sure. And ironically, coming right after Alex Rivera had said that in their previous matches, some decisions made didn't appeal to him. I'm sure he doesn't like that one. And this one's interesting because Ross, who has not lost in team boxing, taking on a different opponent than his first opponent now with Michael Coffey, who was on the losing end against Conja Nathan in a split decision.
So Philadelphia has gone ahead 12-10.
Ross has never created a knockdown or a knockout in TBL.
He is a perfect 7-0. Coffey falling to 2-3 after taking that loss to Nathan.
And Coffey is a pretty durable fighter. He was stopped by Fabio Wardley, but that's, you know, a high-level British fighter who became a world champion.
Left hand meets the face of Eric Ross. Michael Coffey just sticking it out there. Boston trailing by more than 1 point for the first time tonight. Certainly no moral victories, but this has been a good showing, and they are very much still in it. They need to make a move.
Yeah, Michael Coffey is, I think, you know, the kind of fighter that his offense is oftentimes muted, but he's, you know, he's looking to make something dramatic happen here and create a knockdown if he can.
Left hand connecting multiple times in that sequence from Eric Ross. Just over a minute to go in round 22. Tight battle between Ross and Coffey. Tight battle between Philadelphia and Boston in the team score.
And considering the position Boston is in, Coffey has got to be a little bit more aggressive here. It's not his nature to go and be a wildly big volume puncher, but he's a good body puncher and he can throw some good shots. He's going to have to do that here to try to cement at least a 1-point victory for Boston. And the Coffey jab, and he does actually have a good jab, has been so dormant in this fight. There it is.
Ross trying to connect at close range in the corner. Now they back up.
And of course, for Ross, you know, he doesn't want to get caught in a situation where he could be trading punches and go down.
That hook coming in. But that jab could have been the separator between Ross and Coffey. We're talking about the jab of Eric Ross.
Yeah, and there is the jab. You know, he lands it very well. That's one of his signature punches, and he added a combo there. And a win by Eric Ross, which this might be, could put Boston in some serious jeopardy because of that knockdown decision by the referee that changed the tenor of this match completely.
Big moments in this event with the score so tight. Let's see what the judges think.
TBO fans, the winner of round 22 by way of unanimous decision. From Philly, Eric Ross. The score, Philadelphia 13, Boston 10. Round 23 at super welterweight. Philly, Jason Moreno. Boston, Jaye Brown.
Now a 3-point lead for the Philadelphia Smoke. And here is Jason Moreno, Jaye Brown doing it again at 154 pounds. Moreno winning a split decision over Brown back in round number 5. So Boston in an uphill battle. They have Brown here. Hebrew Francois is next for Boston, and he won his previous round with Francisco Rodriguez.
Now, neither Brown nor Francois are known as power punchers, and somebody's going to have to create a knockdown here for Boston because they're 3 points down.
And with Philadelphia now up by 3, Amelia is with Philly coach Bob Kane.
Bob Kane, there was felt like kind of a controversial moment there. What are your thoughts on that knockdown call?
With Steve Cunningham, that's exactly what we said we were going to do. We're going to bait him into the straight right hand. That's what Steve did, exactly what we thought.
That was the game plan. Love hearing that. And just like have you been surprised by the Boston Butchers kind of creeping up on you guys? This is the closest I feel like any team has been all season.
Yeah, I mean, it's all good. We're going to win. I mean, but at the end result is always the same result.
And which is?
Win.
Appreciate you, Bob Kane.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Bob.
That's a pretty good throw from Bob. He's a man of few words, but he makes them count.
Jab coming through from Jai Brown.
Yeah, Jai Brown is put in a position here where he's, he's trying to create some extra points, and he's not one of those kind of guys that it gets in there and he wins by decision. He wins by being very clever, and so knockdown here is not something you're looking.
Oh, right hand connecting from Moreno. It put Brown back. He's okay, but that was by far the standout punch of the round thus far.
Yeah, and Moreno, when he gets going offensively, he can be aggressive and show pop, and that's what he's doing, which is, the last thing the Boston people want to see. But
Jason Moreno trying to put this one to bed for the Philadelphia Smoke. Up 13-10. Brown landing at close range with that right hook. More is needed, though, from this Boston Butchers squad here in the penultimate round. One more round to go after this one. It's been an entertaining back and forth night between these two East Division teams. Some separation caused by a controversial call in round 21. A knockdown awarded to Steve Cunningham over Miguel Teo. Teo and Boston contended that it wasn't a knockdown and he slipped. And that is not how the referee scored it.
And the thing about that is it's really a 3-point spread because Teo was winning that round. And Moreno feels like he did enough here against Jai Brown, and he likely did. Wasn't I don't think as offensive as his performance in the first time against Brown, but that was the straight right hand that stunned Jai Brown about 2/3 of the way through the round. And I'm surprised Brown didn't go down, actually. He did a great job of not going down at that point to finish out the round.
TBL fans, the winner of round 23 by way of unanimous decision. From the Philly Smoke, Jason Moreno.
Well, Jason Moreno delivering for Philadelphia,
Round
now up
24
4.
at lightweight, Philly, Francisco Rodriguez. Boston, Hebrew Francois.
So this bout is in a position where Francisco Rodriguez, all he has to do is stay on his feet, though he wants to do more than that and close this one out on a high note for Philadelphia. Hebrew Francois needs a stoppage in order for Boston to tie this up. 14-10, the team score, Philadelphia in front, 3 minutes away from improving to 7-0.
And Francisco Rodriguez is an aggressive fighter. That's what he does. So it would be shocking if we saw him, just using lateral movement, trying to wander around this ring. But you are right. Certainly he has to be mindful of the fact that a knockout win would tie this match up.
It will be 3 straight minutes of home run attempts for Hebrew Francois.
Even in his pro career outside TBL, Francois is 6-2 with only 2 KOs. So he's not known as a knockout artist. And of course, as you pointed out, he got the win earlier.
Philly corner asking Rodriguez for the jab, and he heeds the call. Good jab again as Rodriguez closes in.
And you do feel Rodriguez is being a little more of a boxer puncher in this round. Kind of using the jab, as you pointed out, he's been urged to do. And with a little more lateral movement and angles than he might otherwise show. And right there, Rodriguez would normally stand there and trade and work the body and be a combination puncher there. He stepped back. Turns to lefty here, does Rodriguez, and Francois coming forward. He knows what his job is. Nice right hand by Francois.
And found a landing spot with that right hook.
And that is his best punch. He does
Rodriguez
have
dodging a couple of them that were just attempted by Francois. And he gets clipped with one, but after dodging a few more. Francois is trying to make this as ugly as possible for Rodriguez before in what he hopes to land one of those big impact shots.
Francois has pinned his hopes on that right hand, and it has landed a couple of times, but time is running out on him.
And running out on the Boston Butchers. They made it interesting throughout this night, on a night in which many probably felt we would have seen more of the same from May 30th. The only identical result will be the W for Philadelphia. So this round ends and Boston falls short. Philadelphia on the road picks up an impressive win where they find a way to pull away in a close and tight head-to-head event with the division foe. And that's the mark of a good boxing team.
They pulled together, and with the help of one important moment, they got the job done.
TBL fans, the winner of round 24 by way of split decision. From Boston, Hebrew Francois.
Despite the win for Boston in that round, Philadelphia takes the overall event 14-11. The Smoke remain undefeated. They improved to 7-0. We'll be back with more right after this. Team Boxing League is brought to you by Balance of Nature. In boxing, consistency beats intensity. Balance of Nature supplements help you stay consistent with ingredients of whole foods you could easily slot into your daily routine. Go to balanceofnature.com, use code TEAM, and start today. Time now for our star of the fight. It's brought to you by Balance of Nature. It's round 21, and this one was arguably the decisive round, Al. Steve Cunningham Sr. looking for a little revenge against Miguel Teo, and a really tough call to make by the referee was made.
Yeah, Teo was winning the round, but that short right hand, which may or may not have been what sent Teo down, it may have been, was called a knockdown, and that ended up being a 2-point round for Cunningham and started them off on the way to a win.
Broke a 10-10 tie at the moment. Philadelphia goes on to win by 3 points. Let's go back inside the ring with Ray Flores.
Ladies and gentlemen, from Roadrunner here in Boston, Massachusetts, your final score, the Philly Smoke 14, the Boston Butchers 11. Here are your 3 stars of the fight. The number 3 star, Boston Butchers lightweight, Alexia De La Cruz. Number 2 star, Philly Smoke light heavyweight, Jesse Hart. Balance of Nature, number 1 star, Philly Smoke bantamweight, Lysandra Contreras. Round of the night, round number 4, Henry Cedeno against Javon Biss.
Coach Bob Kane, here we are yet again in the center of the ring, 7-0 after tonight's performance with the Philly Smoke. Congratulations. What exactly are the conversations that you have with the team? You have one of the most consistent rosters of any team in TBL.
We're going to stay consistent. But don't you got a big fight coming up?
I do indeed have a major fight coming up.
It's about you now.
So tonight, Bob has decided that he is a ringside analyst and commentator tonight, and I actually love it. It looks good on you. But yeah, I have a massive world title coming up, WBC WBO fight against Caroline Dubois in Birmingham, UK, bringing home first world title. Clarissa Shields did it in 6, I believe. I'm about to do it in 5.
Let's go. Bring the championship back to the champions of the TCO.
You hear that?
I like that.
He's trying to recruit me for Philly Smoke. Thanks, Coach Bob. I appreciate your support, always. Jesse Hart, captain of the Philly Smoke. Do you ever feel pressure, ever, when you're in there to perform, to kind of pull these off? You've been a consistent points lead. You're so seasoned. It's amazing to watch you fight every single time.
All credit due to my team. I push everybody, the ladies and the gentlemen, I push them. And I push them to the best of themselves. Jason Morano looked wonderful tonight. Steve Cunningham came through at a clutch time. Lisa, she just, Lysandra, she just amazing. I just want to win. That's all I want to do. My competitive nature is to win at any cost. And I'm gonna hold everybody on my part of the end, which is my team, accountable to get their point. That's what I do.
And that's true words from a captain and a true leader. I appreciate you, Mr. Hart, always.
Good luck, too, on your fight. I'm pushing for you. I'm so happy you got this to show the world who the real talent got.
You got it. And I have a huge family here. I love my TBL family. Sandra, you're an incredible talent. I love watching you fight every single time. You went in there and looked like you really took your time tonight. Usually you jump right in. What were you looking for in there with Miss Cristina Cruz?
So, yo sabía que me iba a enfrentar con alguien con mucho más experiencia que yo, aunque yo también quería trabajar encima del ring con ella, ya que también quise mostrar de lo que soy capaz. Y bueno, este es el boxeo, a mí me gusta mucho pelear y trabajar en ella. So, gracias.
I knew coming in that I was going to get in the ring with someone with more experience than me, so I was just trying to get the work in, try to get the experience. But I love to fight, and this is what I love to do, so that's what I came to do, to make sure that I won.
Wonderful work tonight, Mrs. Sandra. Thank you so much. Congratulations to you and your team. Justin, Al, back to you.
Thanks so much, Amelia. And on a night where so much focus was on Stasia Suttles and Sage Rosario, Lysandra Contreras, the top fighter as she picks up Fight of the Night honors in Philadelphia's 14-11 victory. As we take a look at the latest Team Boxing League standings, Philadelphia remains undefeated, now 7-0 as they pick off Boston for a second time here this season. And there's a lot of separation between the Smoke and second place Miami. Hey, tomorrow Team Boxing League returns to South Florida as Yosgiel Napoles and the Miami Assassins take on Anel Reese, Lopez Mendez, and the New York City Attitude. All 24 rounds of 3-minute action can be seen at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific, right here in Team Boxing League. Tonight, Philadelphia remains unbeaten. The Smoke move to 7-0. They get a big win on the road, defeating Boston 14-11. For Al Bernstein, Amelia Moore, our entire crew, I'm Justin Shackle. We'll talk to you tomorrow as Week 12 rolls on in Team Boxing League.